At the start of the war, Americans were pretty evenly divided in their support for the conflict. But now, 61% say that the campaign in Iran was a mistake, and there is a clear generational gap, too. While older Americans are split, 61% under the age of 35 oppose the war, and 80% of those under 30 say there were no sufficient reasons to attack Iran in the first place. This generational divide, I think, when it comes to war, has always been a thing in America, but it seems particularly acute right now, Adam.
Yeah, for my entire life, the United States has been at war with some country in the Middle East, and young people have constantly been told that this will make us safer and make us better off. But when we look around at the world today, we are less safe and we are worse off. Millennials grew up watching all of these headlines saying that Iraq had been, defeated, that we had taken out Saddam Hussein and we had killed all the bad guys. Well, that turned into a grinding counterinsurgency that cost us $1 trillion, and it was a catastrophe. The same thing happened with Afghanistan. And now Gen Zers are going through the same thing with Iran. We are watching the same people who defended these first two failed wars go on television and defend another failed war. This war is failing. We have not gotten any political concessions. And I'm sorry, I'm not buying this trust the process line. I don't trust the same people who got us into the prior wars, amassed trillions of dollars in debts, and are not putting America first on the global stage.
You think gas prices are high right now? Iran with a nuclear weapon, we'd have unlimitedly high gas prices. They would take control of the Strait of Hormuz, and they would blackmail the world.
And how much farther away are they from having a nuclear weapon? Where is the enriched uranium right now?
They're non-existent.
Where is the enriched uranium
We're
right now?
We're going to get the enriched uranium.
No, where is it? I want you to answer.
It's buried right now. But
where is it buried?
You're asking me. I'm not in the classified briefings, and neither are you. So just be quiet for a minute and let me finish. We know it's buried in Iran. Let me finish.
Okay, Adam,
we are more safe than we were before we took out Iran's nuclear capabilities. Absolutely more safe. The Strait of Hormuz is going to be open, and Iran's not going to control it. That is absolutely going to happen. It doesn't matter if it's 2 weeks or 2 months.
It does actually matter because economists are saying if it's closed for a few more months, then we're going to go into a recession. So it does matter. It absolutely does matter.
No one's predicting that because the markets that are all-time high.
No one's predicting that?
The markets that are an all-time high, the markets aren't predicting it.
With the oil markets?
The inflation rate has stayed where it is. And by the way,
what was inflation
by the way, unemployment has stayed low. So when you're talking about everyone's predicting this.
Can you look the average American in the eye?
Just to be clear, inflation has ticked up.
Yes.
It has not stayed the same.
When you hear the president and our leadership constantly changing the explanation they're giving for why we're at war, constantly changing the timetable of how long this is going to last, and then forgetting how long it has been going on, then you're right to push back and say, kindly give us a clearer explanation for why we're there, how long we're going to be there for. It's not enough to say, sit at this table and say, it'll be over, and then the Straits of Hormuz will be open. We've got no indication of that being the case.
Very clearly, the administration has determined, because they've basically ended the kinetic conflict of it all, they've determined that the only way to actually get the things that we want, which is Iran abandoning its nuclear ambitions, moving away from funding terrorism, is to get to the negotiating table, which is the same truth that existed a year ago after they did the first set of strikes. So, I think that's part of the problem, is that war has not necessarily gotten us the outcome that they say that we are trying to get here.
No, and that's because the rationale for the war has shifted multiple times. No one here has ever said we want a nuclear-armed Iran. That is a red herring at this point, because it's the only talking point that the pro-Trump folks have, because they've gotten themselves into a situation that they were unprepared for. And what's incredibly ungrateful, you know who's incredibly ungrateful? Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, for the men and women who are serving in this war, who are on deployments that are extra long, who are not getting their ships resupplied, who don't understand what they're doing over there, who are being taken for granted. Our military is the greatest in the world, and the men and women who serve are the greatest in the world, and they are being taken for granted as props in a political effort by Donald Trump to make himself feel better till he can distract from everything else that's going on domestically. And now he's gotten himself into a situation where he can't even explain cogently why we're there, what's going on, and why the American people should have to pay the price for it. So that's what's going on here.
I covered the war in Iraq. I was there for all the arguments going into that war in Iraq. I remember people saying this was the major sponsor of terror. And you pointed to 9/11. Iraq had nothing whatsoever to do with 9/11. And going into Iraq and toppling that regime as much as I hated the regime as any right-thinking people, spawned from the direct consequence of that the Islamic State, also a terrorist group that came directly out of our actions in Iraq. So, if we want to look at historical precedents, we should not cherry pick little bits out of a larger picture.